In today's Honeywood's cooking, we are going to make something very simple, something very flavorful, and it's actually very kid-friendly. It's orange chicken, Chinese origin, very easy and simple to do, and the kids are going to love it. For the ingredients, and I'm going to mention the quantities in the recipe, of course we've got chicken, egg whites, cornstarch, water, that's for the sauce, cornstarch for the sauce, orange juice, just a little bit of sesame oil and soy sauce, rice vinegar, we've got salt up to taste, brown sugar, ginger, garlic chopped, red chili flakes. So we'll start off by making the batter for the chicken, and that's going to be the 4 egg whites into a bowl and cornstarch. There we go. And we're going to whisk it for about a minute till it is frothy. We don't want peaks or anything. And we will whisk the cornstarch and egg whites till there's some froth on the top. So as we can see, there is some froth on the top of the egg whites. That's where we're going to stop. And then you just simply have to add the chicken, bite-sized pieces. I've taken breast, 1.5 pounds. You could do thighs. It has to be bite-sized pieces because we are going to fry it next, so that's easier and manageable. And once you've added all the chicken, it just sits in the cornstarch and egg white mixture for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we move on to the next step. And we will give the chicken a quick toss, and this is going to sit for 5-10 minutes, and then we will fry it off. So while the chicken soaks in the egg white and cornstarch, we are going to start off the chicken sauce. Orange juice, about half a cup. I'm using store-bought. You could use fresh if you want to. This is going to be followed by soy sauce and sesame oil. Just a little bit of sesame oil. Too much of sesame oil and your sauce will have a bitter aftertaste, and you don't want that. This mixture we're going to add salt, crushed ginger, crushed garlic, red chili flakes for some heat, and of course some brown sugar for good sweet taste, color, and of course that's going to add to the texture as well. And finally, rice wine vinegar. Heat on, we will give it a quick whisk, bring it to a boil, and then once it's got nice and bubbly, we will add the cornstarch and water mixture. So the idea is to fry the chicken in a deep pan. So if you have a Dutch oven, that would do good. I'm using a saucepan. I've got about just a little bit more than a quarter of an inch of an oil layer, and it's heating. I need to have it nice and hot so that as soon as the chicken goes in, it starts to fry and cook to a nice brown. Now we're going to mix the cornstarch for the sauce. The sauce is already bubbling, which is essentially the orange juice, soy sauce, red chili flakes, sesame seed oils. And now we're going to mix the cornstarch for the sauce. So cornstarch and water. Just mix it nice so that there are no clumps in it. As you can see, the sauce is nice and bubbling. It's hot, definitely. And we will add the cornstarch little by little. We just don't want the consistency to be very clumpy. It should be nice and smooth. As you can see, the sauce is now bubbling, cooking, and it is smooth, no clumps. So we will let it to cook for a while till it is nice and sticky, and in the meantime we can move on to frying the chicken. Oil is nice and hot, rather very hot, and I will drop the chicken piece by piece so that it cooks nicely and browns up. So you can see the chicken is sizzling nicely, frying, and we need to fry till it has a nice and brown color. So now the chicken is all nicely fried and browned. So this is what you have to do. Once it's all done while the oil is still hot, you put it back into the hot oil for about, let's say, maximum a minute. What it will do is that it will make the coating real hard. So once you toss it in the sauce, it will still have some crunch to it. So the chicken has sat in the hot oil for about a minute. I will give it a few stirs. As you can see, the coating is nice and it is still hanging on to the chicken even though we are frying it for the second time. So I would say that's a good sign. The sauce has nicely cooked and thickened, and I'm sure it will give it a good coating once we dip the chicken into it. We're going to coat the chicken with the citrusy orange sauce. It's nice and coated with the orange sauce and ready to serve. And I'm using a little bit of radish for a garnish. Since it's already very citrusy, I thought lemon would just overdo it. You could do a garnish of your choice.